All right, so thank you all again for joining me for our Module 156 Week 3 class meeting. Um, Again, today we're going to go over a little bit in chapters 3, 4, and 5 and talk about a few other things, including SimChart and some fun stuff. Um, Yo, give me 1 second to message my boss back because apparently she's not remembering that I have class at 4. But as always, guys, those of you that can and don't mind turning on your camera, please do so. And if y'all are in a situation like at work where you can't that or uncomfortable, that's fine too. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen so we can jump into it. All right, can everybody see my screen? Awesome.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much.
Yes.
All right, so today's agenda, we're going to go through some announcements. We're going to talk about SimChart access, and we're covering a little bit in chapters 3, 4, and 5. I didn't get correct that on the agenda, but that's okay. So as far as announcements, real quick, let's talk about book codes for new students because that is one of the biggest problems right now going on in the class. We had, which is awesome, we had 9 new students join our class on Monday. And unfortunately, y'all know how it is getting set up with Evolve. Their book codes are not working. So I can't get them in a SimChart. I can't get them access to the textbook. We're kind of stuck in a holding pattern. And that's what my boss was actually texting or messaging me about, was asking me if I had gotten a ticket or something. I don't know what she's talking about. So I'll have to get with her after the meeting. So hopefully we'll have an update soon as to something with that. I'm not stressing out too much about it, guys, my new students, because we're about to have that 2 week break. So you guys have got ample time. I know we'll get it figured out sometime in the next few days, I'm sure. So you guys are gonna have ample time to catch up and work on all that stuff. And it shouldn't be major. And like I explained to y'all before, you're not held responsible for anything before your start date. So all those assignments that were before that are already closed, if y'all don't go back and do them, they're not going to count against you. They will get dropped, okay? I would prefer that y'all go back and do them so y'all have that good foundation. But again, that's going to be up to you, okay? It's
Okay.
not going to be held against you if you don't do it, but I do suggest that you do it, and you will get credit for it if you do it. Let's see. So that's the big thing, and I'll let y'all know as soon as I have more information. Um, Holiday break. That's the next thing. Next Friday is our last day before holiday break. We're out from the 25th until Friday, January the 5th, and we return to class on Monday, January the 8th. Now, it's kind of, if y'all haven't noticed yet, I have everything opened up already through January 8th, okay? And the reason for that is so that y'all don't go on break and then I don't blame you if you don't think about school for 2 weeks. I try not to too, but it never works for me. But I don't blame you if you do that. But you don't have a bunch of stuff to do when you get back. It's just that Monday assignments and they're already done. Knock them out at some point over the break and then you don't have anything to worry about. And just a quick reminder, y'all, I have a fair few people that are behind on labs right now. And I know some of it is SimChart issues and things like that. And we're going to talk about some of that in a little bit. But for those of y'all who are not having SimChart issues and just maybe don't like SimChart or don't like the labs right now, you do still have to do them because they are worth 40% of your grade. If you don't do any of the labs, you will not pass this course. Okay? So labs are very important. Please don't fall too far behind on your labs, okay? All right, so let's jump in. Let's talk about SimChart. If you guys, and this is not for the new students, I know y'all are not there yet, but from the other students who've been here for a while, if you are not in SimChart yet, or you're still having issues with SimChart, you need to get with me ASAP, because we are now more than a week into those assignments. And if you're still not sure what you're looking for or looking at, please get with me so I can clarify it for you and we can get you going. All right, because again, you don't want to fall behind. And here's the other thing, guys. Module 156 and 157 are not the modules to fail. They are not the ones you want to have to repeat, because guess what? The second go around, you don't have SimChart. Instead of the labs in SimChart, you have one massive research project that you have to do to make up for all those labs. It's not the module to fail, okay? Neither one of these, because you want to have SimChart access to make these as easy as possible. So again, get with me if you're still needing access or not sure where to find assignments. All right, so let's talk a little bit about chapter 3, which was our privacy, confidentiality, and security chapter, having to do with EHR systems. Okay, and one of the main things we're going to talk about, because it's something that you are going to hear about all the time in your career, you're going to have annual HIPAA training. It's one of the most important laws or policies that we have to follow as medical office staff. Okay, HIPAA, you have, every company has a HIPAA compliance officer. That's how serious it is. All right, and there are companies, when you break HIPAA and you're caught violating HIPAA, you are fined a ridiculous amount of money, and it will bankrupt a clinic. It'll bankrupt a hospital system, because it's not just like a couple $1,000s. It could be up to millions of dollars. If it is a breach that is that big, it can be millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. We do a project, and I think I said it for the new students last module. We talked a little bit about HIPAA. I do a project where I get you to look up 10 companies that have violated HIPAA and what their fine amounts were, because it's all public knowledge, right? It's public knowledge how these lawsuits and violations get dealt out. So you can look it up and find out what kind of fines some of these companies suffer, and just most of the time due to employees not paying attention to what they're doing, to where they're sending information, who they're giving information to, and things like that. And it gets found out, or the patient finds out and they report it, and then you're literally going to lose your job. Literally, if you have a HIPAA violation, more than likely you will lose your job. You'll get fired, because they just can't afford it. They can't afford it. Okay, so let's read a little bit about it, what it says in our book. HIPAA, which is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. HIPAA was brought about to address the issue of protecting healthcare information in the electronic age. When electronic transmission of data became possible, more people had much easier access to health information, and this information could just as easily be shared inappropriately. In response, Congress passed the HIPAA, which is Act of 1996. Okay, so this came about in the 90s when the internet was introduced and medical offices started keeping patient charts by computers and then transferring records between hospitals and doctors and clinics and insurance companies and all these things. When everything started to go electronic, they figured out how easy it was for that information to get where it didn't need to be. So they put in effect HIPAA, this act that is basically a set of guidelines for how medical offices, covered entities, business associates, and we'll talk a little bit more about who all those are in a minute, but it's how we handle this information legally, right, to protect the patient and to protect ourselves. Okay, So HIPAA is a big deal. Like I said, when you work in a medical office, you'll get annual HIPAA training. Every single year, you will have like an 8 hour span of time where you got to study HIPAA and get refreshed and all that because it's a big deal. It is a big deal. All right, so patients have certain rights under HIPAA, okay? Um, because it's their information that we're protecting. So there's certain rights that they need to be able to have some say so in, right? Certain activities, all right? View or receive copies of your health record. They are entitled to view their own information, okay? Have inaccurate health information corrected. They have the right to make sure that we are documenting correctly on their health record. Because if we don't document correctly, that can cause them issues down the line with medications, other insurance companies, other doctors' offices. You know, if we document a medication wrong, and we send it to another doctor, send them a referral somewhere, and we documented something wrong, that other doctor is going to go by our documentation, and they could come up with a treatment plan that might not work for that patient because our information was wrong. Okay, so they have the right to get that information fixed. They receive a notice of privacy practices. When a patient gets that big packet, and sometimes now it's on an iPad and stuff, but they get that big packet of documentation, that new patient, for lack of a better word, packet or documentation, there is a notice of privacy practices. It tells the patient what we're going to do with their information, how we're going to store it, and who we may or may not give access to it. Okay. They can opt out of sharing certain information with certain people. There are some doctors' offices who give records to like clinical trials, to research companies, pharmaceutical companies. We turn over a certain amount of patient data so they can examine it and formulate new treatment plans, formulate new medications, things like that. But patients have a right to not have their data sent anywhere for any reason. They can opt out of sharing that information. All right. They have to have certain information withheld from certain third parties. And that kind of goes in with the opt out of sharing. That can kind of, they're kind of what and what. If there are other parties, like if they don't want to file to their insurance, we don't have to. We don't, just because they have insurance doesn't mean we have to use it. Okay. If they want to be a cash pay patient, which usually costs them a little more money, but if there's a reason why they want to do that, we can do that for them. Okay. We do not have to release things to their insurance company or anybody else if they don't want us to, unless it's a legal requirement. If it's in a court case or something like that, and the judge requires it, we have to turn it over because that's legal. We have to do that. We have to do what the court tells us to do. All right. They can receive a list of disclosures of their health information. And that's, again, in that new patient packet, there's usually some disclosures of how we're going to store their information or what we're going to do with it. And they can also file a complaint. And that's if we give their information to somebody that they don't want us to, and they've made it known. Like there's usually in that new patient packet, there's who do you want? There's a page that says, who do you want us to talk to or talk about your health with? For me, I always put my spouse on there because if something happens, I'm a diabetic. If something happens to me and I end up in the hospital, I need my doctor to be able to coordinate with my husband and know for my husband to know what's going on with me, so they can just make the best decisions possible with regard to my health. So he is always on there. There are certain things I have my husband and my brother listed on, or my uncle. It just depends on what it is. So patients have the right to pick and choose who they want their information their medical issues talked about to. with anybody. You know, if they want it or they don't want it, they can pick. That's their rights under HIPAA. But yeah, if we give their information to somebody that's not on their list, they can file a complaint, and that's a HIPAA violation to anybody who saw that information anywhere we sent it. Anybody in that office, if it went through 3 people's hands, that's 3 separate HIPAA violations. You know, everybody who saw it's a violation. So we just gotta watch that. But we have to make sure we're respecting the patient's rights. And you know, if when it comes down to it, just put yourself in their shoes. You know, you want certain rights over your information too. So same for everyone. All right, so we learned in chapter 3, we talked a little bit, and I just mentioned it, covered entities and business associates. And where this comes into play, when you work for a billing company, you're doing billing. My first billing job was an outsourced third-party billing company. We handled just the billing side of things for a lot of different clinics and hospital systems and groups of doctors and things like that. I personally had, by the time I stopped working there, was in charge of 5 different clinics. Not little clinics either, like 5 whole standalone medical clinics. That had their own specialties. One was cardiology, one was orthopedics. I did a group of hospitalists that made rounds at Cabrini Hospital in Alexandria in the pediatrics department. You can handle a lot of different accounts and see a lot of different specialties with third-party billing. But one of the things that we had to make sure of with HIPAA was that our building was always locked. Nobody could get into our building that did not work there, or we did not let them in. And if they came into our building and we let them into the locked area, they got anywhere past the lobby, they had to sign a sheet. Okay. And covered entities, a third-party billing company is considered a covered entity. People that deal with the insurance, so your insurance companies, your doctor's offices, insurance, like some automobile insurance companies, if they have a medical coverage policy on in with their auto, we can, they're covered if they're having to do with the claim process, if we're filing claims to them. Okay, but basically, and you see the list, and I took this list straight from your book, guys. This includes providers such as doctors, clinics, hospitals, psychologists, dentists, chiropractors, nursing homes, pharmacies. They also do some assisted living where they get medical care there. Those can be in on that list. Your health plans are covered in entities. This is health insurance companies, health management organizations or HMOs, company health plans, government programs like Medicare, Medicaid, VA insurance, things like that. Those are all covered entities. And then, like the company that I worked for, third-party billing office, we file claims. Most claims get filed to a health clearinghouse. Okay, and we'll talk more about clearinghouses and how claims get routed and filed and all that later. But this includes entities that process non-standard health information they receive from another entity into a standard electronic format or data content, or vice versa. So like my third-party billing company that sends claims to this clearinghouse, we're all covered because we're all filing claims and handling claims and making determinations and things like that. Okay, so we're covered entities under HIPAA. Now, business associates, that would be like, okay, for my office or a doctor's office, the custodial staff that accesses that office to clean it at night, landscaping people, repair people, anybody that accesses that building and could possibly see someone's health information, they sign a business associate agreement before ever stepping foot on the property. They have to sign an agreement that says, I understand that I'm a business associate of a company that deals with medical PHI, personal health information. I agree that I will not Um, view it, share it, take it from the building. There's a whole list of things that they cannot do, right? But part of our job every day when we, get out of our cubicle is to lock our computer so nobody can get in and access that information. Don't leave, people's information sitting on top of your desk in plain view where everybody can see it. You want things in file folders and stuff like that. You don't want to keep your password on a sticky note stuck to your screen. Things like that. Put it in a drawer where nobody can get to it. Nobody should be going in your drawers. It's just you can't leave anything out in clear view where your custodial staff, repair people, anything like that can view it. Okay. And that's at the end of the day. While you're there during the day working, you're gonna have stuff spread all over your desk. You just will. Notes, claims, EOBs, whatever you're working on. But that's the difference between a covered entity and a business associate. The covered entity is the people directly dealing with generating, filing, and determining those claims. Your business associates are outside companies or people that do work for the covered entities. Is that clear? Does everybody understand that, or are there any questions? Because there are certain, you will see it on exams and things, is such and such a covered entity or a business associate? You need an understanding of this before you go to work in a medical office. All right, very good. All right, so for chapter 4, starting in chapter 3, you guys really started getting into SimChart and completing EHR exercises there. So with chapter 4, that was administrative use of the health record. So we're just going to talk about some of the things that you guys learned how to do in that chapter, and talk a little bit about it. So scheduling patients. One of the things I told y'all when y'all start this program is that it can cover a lot of different jobs in a medical office. Some offices, they're so busy, they have people that all they do is sit there all day long and make appointments for patients. That's all they do. And maybe they verify insurance also. Some offices are so busy that there's one person that schedules patients. There's one person that handles the new patient paperwork. There's another person that, posts payments. There's another, and it goes on and on. Each task is given to a separate person, and that's all that they do. Okay. In smaller offices, you may do multiple of these tasks. You may schedule the patients and verify their insurance and process their paperwork. That's a lot of front desk people have all of those job duties. Okay, it just depends on the office that you work in and how they run it. But it's important to know how to do these things. I personally, when I get into a job or an office, I like to know as much as I can. I like to know how the office runs, how it flows. I like to be the go-to person to fix problems when they come up. Basically, I try to make myself an asset, right? I try to be the person that they don't want to lose. Okay. So knowing how to do a lot of different things is going to help you guys out when you go to look for a job. It's going to open you up to not just, oh, insurance specialist or oh, coding specialist. You can be that front desk receptionist if you don't want to get that deep into coding or billing. You can be that scheduler, that insurance verifier, or front office manager sometimes. It just depends. There was one doctor that I worked for. I was her front office manager. I was her scheduler, her biller, her everything. I ran that entire office from front end to back end, basically. Did I last very long doing that? No, I did not, because that's almost impossible. It was an unrealistic job expectation from her, and it was something that I did for as long as I could. And then when it got to be too much, I told her, I was like, look, I can't do this. Either you got to hire more people or we got to do something different. And she didn't want to hire anybody else. And then COVID hit and the world blew up. So that job ended. And then after COVID, I went to work somewhere else. So, but knowing how to do all these different things is very, very important. So y'all learned how to schedule patients. Y'all learned how to work with the calendar a little bit, blocking off different segments of time for when doctors' availabilities change and things like that. I actually used to really enjoy scheduling patients and working with the calendar and moving stuff around and making things work, seeing where I could fit in what and stuff like that. That was something I enjoyed. Managing patient records, getting rid of old records, updating new records, things like that. Forms, dealing with the forms repository. That one little, it's almost like a folder, a folder of forms where all the different privacy policies, disclosures, new patient documents, all that stuff is found in the forms repository, and learning how to pull those forms, fill them out correctly, and then save them where they need to go. All right, documentation. That's another thing they talked about, and they will talk about it in every chapter. Because in billing, in the medical industry, if it was not documented, it did not happen. And it bears repeating. If it's not documented, it did not happen. Okay, you guys have got to document everything that y'all do. Anytime you touch an account, find the note page and document what you did to it. Put your initials and a timestamp even if you need to. This is especially extremely important if you work in the billing, if you're calling insurance companies and you're talking to people on the phone. You better be documenting who you talked to, how long you were on the phone with them. Get a reference number. There's date, time, whatever. If you talk to a patient about their account, you'd better document what was said in that phone call. Because I guarantee you, especially if it was an uncomfortable phone call, that patient may call back later and say, I talked to so-and-so and they said XYZ. And somebody will pull it up in the notes and they see your notes. Oh, well, so-and-so said you said ABC. So, you got to document CY to A. Okay, documentation is huge. Communication. Y'all started looking at how to communicate, taking messages, email communications with patients, things like that. And the big thing I want to stress with y'all about communication is keeping it professional. Keep it as professional as possible. Even if somebody upsets you and makes you mad, and I know y'all have all seen those TikTok videos and Facebook videos where they're like, office communications decoded, and there's as per my last email. And you know what that really means. Like I told you the first time. But to keep it professional, you got to use as per my last email. You can't say, dummy, I done told you 3 times. You can't do that. Okay? That is frowned upon. You've got to maintain professional. It can cost you your job if you don't. If you get a reputation, and you will get a reputation because you'll deal with the same offices all the time. You'll deal with the same insurance companies all the time. And patients will get to know you if you have to call them about their accounts, or they have to call you or whatever. You will get a reputation for being unprofessional and rude, and it will cost you your job eventually. Okay. So you got to always use sir and ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Just the basic courtesies, y'all, the basic courtesies. And always, 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 and I find that a lot of y'all do this with me, when you email someone, put a signature, thank you, so-and-so, and maybe your phone number and your email address, okay? Even when you're sending it from your phone, do that, okay? It is extremely unprofessional to send a 1-sentence email and not tell me who it's from, what it's about, or anything else. Like it's almost one of my pet peeves, I think. And when y'all do that to me, I will send you, hey, as a reminder, please always include a signature in your email. That's all that is your name and your contact information. Tell me what you need from me. Tell me what we're talking about. Give me some information, not just, hey, what's blah. And I need more context, y'all. and so will anybody else that you're talking to, in regards to insurance claims, claim status, or anything like that, or an account that's past due, or records that you need from a doctor's office. When you reach out to these people, you've got to be professional. You've got to be, because it matters. It matters, especially in a medical office. You want to inspire confidence. Okay. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to go to a medical office that makes me uncomfortable or makes me doubt that these people know what they're doing. I got too many medical issues to play like that. Like, I'm diabetic and probably got some rheumatoid stuff going on, and I can't I can't deal with an inept medical office. I can't do it. I've left doctors' care because their staff was just not up to par, you know. Um, I've left doctors' offices because they build something wrong and wouldn't fix it. And I do billing for a living. I know it's fixable. So that's not something that I'm going to deal with, but you got to maintain your professionals when you're communicating with anybody in work environment. All right. So on the flip side of that, administrative use, was all about the forms, the using it to communicate, things like that. Okay. Clinical use, which y'all did in chapter 5, was more about the patient. Okay. The administrative stuff is more office use, but the clinical side of things is about the patient. And what's wrong with that patient, what's going on with that patient, and things like that. And honestly, in our field, we're not going to do a lot of this stuff. This is going to be left up to the nurse practitioner, whoever triages that patient, whoever checks that patient in and sees them before the doctor does. The person that gets the vital signs, that's going to be the person to enter that information into the system, not us. We're not dealing with patients. That's, if y'all want to deal with patients, wrong program, wrong class. We do not deal with patients. But you do need to recognize what information is ours to get and what information is somebody else's. So for dealing, when they're putting in the clinical use for the health record, they do vital signs, they do patient history. What have they had in the past? Are they a cancer survivor? That could play into their treatment. So they got to find out all this stuff, and it's got to be accurate. Okay. Medications and allergies, entering those in, that is accuracy there, y'all, is vital. It can cost people their lives. It can be a matter of life and death, literally. So we got to be accurate. Whatever orders the doctor gives is going to be on the clinical use side of things as well. And documentation. I'm going to go back to what is an encounter. But again, documentation, it's all got to be documented. It's all got to be in that patient's record, in that electronic health record. Okay. All right. So one of the other things y'all talked about is an encounter, and what an encounter is. And that's basically any instance where your office has any dealings with that patient, whether that's a phone call, a checkup, an office visit because they were sick, a pre-planned wellness visit, whatever the case may be. Each time we have a dealing with that patient, any instance is considered an encounter, and we have got to document it, right? Document everything. All right. So that's some of the stuff that y'all did in chapter 5, inputting those allergies and orders, and changing things around, and getting used to basically navigating that the sim chart, right? Navigating the software. And it's important because, like I explained, almost every doctor's office these days uses this same type of software. It's not going to look exactly like SimChart. Different companies put a different, look or style to it, but they all have a form repository. They all have a patient account balance page. They all have a section where you can take notes. You know, they all have a database where the patient's information is being stored. Okay, those demographics, their name, address, date of birth, social security number, all that stuff, they all work the same. So if you can get used to seeing one and how it functions, you can relate that to any whatever you look at when you get to work. Okay, so that's why SimChart is important. So let's talk about SimChart, and I'm going to stop share because it's the end of the deal, the presentation. But let's talk about SimChart for just a little bit to kind of clarify any confusion. All right, so a lot of y'all had questions about when you open up SimChart, there's no assignments listed, and there's not gonna be. That's correct. It's blank because in 156 y'all don't have specific assignments in SimChart. What y'all are supposed to be doing is looking at your assignment page like normal, and your assignment page is going to let you know which EHR exercises or whatever it is that you're supposed to do, just like always. Okay, it's nothing. We're not throwing anything new except SimChart in there. You'll be finding your assignments the same way in e-learning, and you're going to be going into the simulation playground to complete those exercises. Okay. I'm trying to think. Yeah, y'all will pop, it's that orange button on the right when y'all pop up where y'all are expecting to see assignments, but there's that little orange button that says simulation playground. Y'all just click in there and then you're in SimChart, and then you can start following the directions for that exercise. Okay, and they walk out through it step by step and give you all the information they want in there. You just got to go in and put it in. And then when you're done putting it in, making whatever changes, take that screenshot, take that picture. Okay. There was somebody had a question? No? Okay. But so click in your simulation playground, do your exercise, and then take a picture of the last screen. That's something else. I don't need a picture of every screen, y'all. Just one picture. I'm not picking on you, Keena, I promise. I'm not. You're not the only one though either. Trust me. And I have to say it to every class I have. We don't have to have a picture every page. That last page where I just know you did it. That's good. That's really all I need for these. Those of y'all that are in there are doing great. Those of y'all that are in there were able to find the assignments easy enough and follow along. Y'all are doing fantastic. So keep up the good work. And my new students, once you get in there, it is a little bit of a process, but it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You'll get used to it in no time, I promise. All right. So we talked about the screenshots. And y'all, if for whatever reason, sometimes our website gets glitchy. Okay, sometimes it does not want to let you upload to your assignment page. If it does that, slap it in the comments. That's a really easy way to do it. Slap it in the comments, and that way it's there. I can see it when I go through them. Now, sometimes on those with the comment, I've been trying better. I know y'all have noticed. I've been keeping up with my grading this week. I've been doing it. So the ones in the comments are getting caught a little bit earlier than they did last module. Those were kind of getting stuck till the end when I had to go back through everything. So I'm trying to do that a little bit better because there's more of y'all that are having, as we're doing this system change, there's more of y'all that are having upload issues and things like that. So again, slap it in the comments and it'll be all right. And that's about it. That's about it. Y'all have got the second exam for this module, I think, was due yesterday. Y'all have one more on the last day, on January 8th when we come back. That's really all there is that day is the daily assignment and the final exam. I think that's it. I think that's it for this week. Any questions about SimChart or anything dealing with chapters 3, 4, and 5? And my new students, I know y'all will come up with questions eventually, and when y'all do, just text me. Just text me. It's so much faster. Trying to see if anybody else popped in that I need to write down. Miss Ruminique. Let's see. I have another iPhone user. Who's that? Let's see. I got Tiasha. Who's my other one?
Yes, I don't know who that is.
Let's see. Who is it? One more time. Let's see. If you want to, you can put it in the chat. If you're not somewhere you can talk, just go ahead and put it in the chat for me. All right, guys. Well, if y'all don't have any questions or concerns, anything else y'all want to talk to me about today, that's all I've really got for y'all. And just, happy holidays. Enjoy it. A lot of stuff with family going on right now. It's my favorite time of the year. I love it. As y'all can see, my Christmas tree back there.
I still can't log on to that, what is it called? Can't log on to
SimChart?
yes.
Okay. That's what we just talked about. What you got?
No, I cannot get on it.
Like, text me and send me a screenshot of what page you're stuck at, and I can direct you where to go.
Okay.
Text me a screenshot.
I did have a question about getting caught up from the first 10 assignments.
Uh-huh.
How do we submit? How do we
Just
submit
stick it in the comments.
Just the comments. Okay.
Yep, just use the comments and I'll go back through and change the grade.
Okay.
Miss Brandy, do you know when will be my last day?
Let's see. March 26th.
March 26th. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to do my assignments this afternoon to catch up for this week.
Who's that?
Lindsay?
Lindsay? Okay, Lindsay, no problem.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetheart. All right. Anybody else want to know their finish dates? I have them for everybody, but the ones that started a couple this week and the ones that started 2 weeks ago. I don't have them for y'all yet either.
For Romani?
Sure, I'll take mine.
Miss Romanique? Let's see, that'll be April 16th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lindsay, I'll take mine.
All right, let's see, Miss Lindsay. You are July 18th, middle of summer.
Awesome.
Middle of
Awesome.
summer. And you know how fast the school year flies by. So we're already almost to the new year already. So you'll be done in no time.
That's going to be a great birthday present.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Anybody else?
I think mine is April 14th.
Let's see, who's that?
Tina.
Tina. April 16th.
Okay.
Yep, April 16th. I got a bunch of y'all that are finishing on that day. You had a big start group, Tina. I had a bunch of y'all that are finishing that day. Amisha, Alexis, Asia, Trinity, Tina, Serena, Kirsten, Romani, and Tamia are all finishing that day.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
If we work ahead, does that move up the finish date, or
No.
do we still? Okay.
No, it's set, but you can work ahead and I'll give you attendance, just like you were in every day if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of am trying to be a little bit more flexible on that one, y'all. Because I know sometimes, some days it's just hard to get in there when you got other stuff going on. You really just don't even want to look at a computer, right? You don't want to get on there and do that. So if you can work ahead and get the work done, do it to it. And I'll give attendance for, for as far up as you are.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, how do so whenever I go on my Unitech and I go under attendance, it won't pull up to see if, the attendance.
Can you take a picture of what it shows on your phone? And I'll try to see what might be going on with it and text it to me.
Yeah, it just comes up to a blank screen. Like it won't
It's
even let me
Completely
access it.
blank?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, just text me a picture and I'll look at it and see what might be going on.
Okay. Okay, I can do that whenever I get home.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. All right. Anything else, you guys? No? No?
Not for me.
Awesome sauce. I'm not sure. Can't hear you. Oh, it might be Carla.
It's a little bit off topic, but how does the graduation work again?
Okay. So the way graduation works, because we have students that finish and start every single week, we have, and it used to be 2, but I think this coming year they're doing 1. We used to have 2 graduations a year, a spring and a fall, and
Yeah.
we would take all the students that finished in a 6-month time frame, and they would have, like, from July to December, they would have the spring graduation, and then from January to July, they would be in the fall graduation. I'm not sure what the cutoffs are going to be for this coming year. They kind of changed it up on us, and I don't have a firm date or anything for graduation this coming year yet. But it's basically you generally participate in the first graduation that happens after your finish date. And the school will notify you once it's closer to that time. You'll get some emails from our executive secretary about cap and gown and things like that. You'll get your diploma. Your actual physical diploma will come like 10 weeks after you finish the course itself, after your finish date. But then your graduation ceremony date will be a few months down the road, probably. But you'll have plenty of time to prepare for it. And also, guys, because we're the online course, we are kind of centrally based, so to speak. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, so that is where our graduation is held. It's held at the Cajun Dome Convention Center in Lafayette. Yeah. And it always sucks because every graduation there is one student who's traveling in and there's a major accident on a freeway and they don't get there. And it stinks for that. So we hate that. We hate that so much, but it seems like that happens to one person every graduation. But I mean, that's life, unfortunately. All right. Excellent question, though. Excellent question. Any more? You got anything else for me today? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, then I will let you guys go. And just again, thank you all so much for your time. I truly do appreciate it. And you'll have a wonderful weekend. Be blessed. Make good choices. All that. And I will talk to you
You
next.
too. All right. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.